Welcome to The Last 50 Feet, the podcast about what happens when autonomous vehicles actually arrive at the curb. Every week, we get into what is moving in autonomous commerce, what's stalling, and who's building what next. No fluff, all signal, and we keep it brief. That's our thing. Let's get into it. Ben, it's just me and you today.
I'm missing somebody. I feel lonely, isolated.
We're missing the Chris Martin of the group. I can't get over that. I'm
He's on
not
tour.
ready. Yeah, he's on tour.
You got better stuff to do than be on this podcast. It's
Yeah.
understandable.
Canadian anniversary, I think, is what they're doing.
Yeah, that is what they're doing.
So producer Kyle said
he's currently on a ferry, he said. So that sounds exciting.
Oh, is that a long ferry from where you guys would be?
Yeah, I believe he's up in the San Juan Islands. Location undetermined.
Oh, does he know the location?
I can see his iPhone location, so
that's a sign of a
I know where his anniversary is going to be spent, regardless if he tells me or not.
Oh my God. I think that's a sign of a true best friend when you've shared locations, because you're either worried about their safety or you just need to always know where they are. I have only one friend where we share locations, and it's like I worry about her safety sometimes.
Yeah, I think he's probably worried about my safety, but it's good to see where he is.
That's good. Yeah, you're always moving, and you travel a lot, even after. Surprise everyone, Ben's wife just had a baby, and he's still
surprise
upright, which is wild that I'm 8 months pregnant and I'm luckily to be alive right now, but I'm like, I can't believe all that you're doing, plus there's a tiny little Juniper that has arrived to the new scene.
There is a tiny Juniper. We are blessed. She was very happy and healthy, and Meryl played the podcast for her yesterday.
No.
And apparently Meryl said she was really tuned in.
Which episode? Now we have to know which.
Oh, she likes your voice.
Well, that's nice. That's beautiful. Yeah, so we have to do some more solo episodes just for Juniper, potentially. We also have had another hard launch, not just a baby, but we launched with Tso Chinese Takeout and Delivery and Nash in Austin, Texas, to create our first, we're not calling it a pilot, it's our first supervised autonomous delivery. And that is just like, we have been talking about this since I started, so almost a year and a half, about what this is going to look like, and we're finally living it, and that's got to be pretty exceptional for you. And how funny is it that our team, once we learned how to actually pronounce TSO, and it was so, it just became like part of our entire vernacular. So you have to tell us everything about this launch.
Yeah. Absolutely a pretty incredible milestone to see occur. Given this was something that was in my head in August of 2024, and this was a much more difficult service than I thought it would be at that point. So it took us, a full 22 months to get here. And I think seeing it go live, especially Chad, our CTO, co-founder, shout out Chad, who has built all the technology over these years to make last week's launch possible. He said he teared up. He teared up, and I wasn't there to see it. I still have not seen it. I've been grounded for 2.5 months by choice for the baby, which is good. So I've been here at home. But Chad got to see it live last week, the first time it happened. And it's pretty remarkable that that's possible to do. And what I mean by that is that this is a standard car that you can buy from Tesla.com. And that car that we did buy from Tesla.com is fully orchestrated by our technology. And so, to see that working for Tso Chinese company in restaurant in Austin. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people thought we wouldn't live to see this day, but we did it.
Hey, we had some haters and we gotta always drink that haterade, but we made it. And it's been pretty incredible. I mean, there's been a lot of um, challenges and different things that we've gone through just in the last week of being live, but it's been so exciting. So exciting. It's everything. It's just so exciting to see the team kind of rally and just like get behind our mission and do whatever it takes, including rain and people in other states doing their thing with haboobs. We learned that from last week, and just the team is quite incredible here, and I'm just grateful to be on it for sure. Can you just explain a little bit to our listeners about how the tech actually works and like our integration with Nash?
Yeah. So here's how it works. Before getting into technology, I think it's important to just talk about kind of the use case. So this is going to be impossible for the rest of this episode. You only realize how many times you say so uh, once you start thinking about it. So we had this theory from the beginning that any business that does last mile delivery, so whether that's a retailer like a Macy's or a Best Buy or Home Depot, or a restaurant QSR chain like a Chipotle or a Chick-fil-A or a McDonald's, or even a parcel company like a FedEx or a UPS, all the way, and then grocery as well is another category that you've got Whole Foods and Kroger and Albertsons all doing lots and lots, and Walmart doing lots and lots of last mile grocery delivery. And so we thought it makes sense that as autonomous vehicles become a thing and start scaling, that the vehicles that are currently doing last mile delivery with human drivers would it's possible that autonomous vehicles should be able to do those last mile deliveries for grocery, retail, restaurant, pharmacy, parcel, what have you. And that was always the kind of business idea, is that these companies would want to leverage this new technology of autonomous vehicles for last mile. And if you wanted to be able to build that solution for them, that would hypothetically allow them to save money on delivery costs someday. And it should also hypothetically allow customers to save money on delivery. And, that was always I suppose, the guiding light. And we then kind of went out and started talking to actual restaurants and retailers and grocers and tried to understand whether or not they are interested in autonomous vehicles and whether or not they would be interested in putting autonomous vehicles into their last mile delivery fleet, and doing autonomous delivery for their customers. And most of them said, absolutely, we're super interested in that. How do we work together? And so that was enough indication from our side on kind of the sales front of Autolane that yes, there's demand for this. Businesses would like to try this out if we can build the technology and prove that it works. And so we've been on that mission really for 20 months, I would say, since we learned that those types of companies would be interested in using this technology if it existed. And the first company that we came across actually at Shop Talk, which is a great retail technology trade show in Vegas, we were there in March, and this Chinese food company called Tso, that's based out of Austin, Texas, their executives were at that trade show and came up to our booth and asked some questions, learned what we were doing, and thought, oh, wow, this could be really great because we have a big problem with the cost of delivery. And we are a delivery first Chinese food brand. They don't have restaurants. So you can either take out or you can get delivery, but there is not a formal sit down component to their brand. And so, of course, if you're them, you really want to make sure that you're executing your last mile delivery strategy in the best way possible with the highest technology, the best customer experience, the lowest cost, all of this stuff. And when they found out about our solution at the trade show, they were interested. Cam, talked to them for a couple months, and they said, "Let's do this. This makes a lot of sense for us. We'd love to try it out." And so then we spent the last 60 days or so working with them and this other company that helps them with their last mile delivery system called Nash. And we said, "Hey, listen, Tso Chinese would like to leverage our technology. All of the delivery orders that go through Tso Chinese restaurant go into this platform called Nash. Nash then routes those orders to particular delivery service providers. So think courier companies or what have you. And so if you were to imagine the waterfall of the process here, what happens is a customer in Austin today purchases a meal for delivery on the Tso website directly. So not through DoorDash or Uber Eats, but on the Tso website, buy something for delivery, pay for the delivery fee at checkout, and then that order goes into the Nash system for a courier to essentially claim it and do that last mile delivery for Tso.
Mm-hmm.
We are now an authorized delivery provider in the Nash platform. And so we bid on that delivery order. If we win that bid, we accept that delivery order. And then we give the Tso customer, this is where it gets interesting. We give the Tso customer the option to opt into autonomous delivery or have a normal delivery, human delivery. And we do that because at this point we still don't, and we didn't know what the demand would be for autonomous delivery, and thus putting it in the checkout as an option. I mean, that would be the nicest, lowest friction way to do this would be, of course, to have a button in checkout in the delivery section that says, "I want autonomous delivery."
Mm-hmm.
We have a very small fleet, of course. We've talked about this in prior episodes. We have 13 cars right now in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not enough. That's not even close to enough vehicles to match the level of demand that Tso has for delivery. And because we don't know what the consumer interest is in autonomous, if you put it in checkout and let's say 30% of people click that button,
yeah,
we wouldn't be able to satisfy that demand with the limited amount of cars that we have. So we had to think through, given we don't know what the interest level is, we need to find out that interest level somehow. And the way to do that is actually to start asking people if they want to do it or not. And if they say no, then we use our supervisor that has to be in the car anyway to do a regular human delivery. And if they say, yes, I want to try autonomous, then we go the autonomous route. Now, the final phase of this is going back to the kind of waterfall. Place an order on the Tso website. It goes into this Nash system. We then claim that delivery order in the Nash system. Then we text that customer and say, "Hey, you've been paired with the Autolane system. If you'd like to use autonomous, say reply with Y for yes, and reply N for no, regular human delivery." If they say yes, this is where it gets interesting. If they say yes, then our system orchestrates that Tesla vehicle end to end. It pushes the navigation instructions. Our Autolane technology pushes the navigation instructions to the car.
Mm-hmm.
The car then self-drives to the customer's address. And then when the car arrives, the customer can see in a little, what we call microsite, but it's just a little link in SMS that shows you that the car is arriving, like in DoorDash. So you can track it. It tells you when it's arriving. And that tells you to go out to the curb and meet the car to grab your order. And when you go out there, a little button appears that says open trunk. Press open trunk, grab your order, trunk closes, car drives off. And so you do not interact with a person. A person has never touched your food. you have to go out, you have to be alert and like respond to the text messages, go out to the curb or the driveway, get your order yourself, and then the car drives away. And so the and and uh the feedback has been really great so far, but essentially that's how it works. We give the customer the option of trying this out or not, and we don't really care one way or another because we're trying to learn again what the customer demand is for this type of a service. Then we also want to learn of the people who choose autonomous, what do they think about it? Does it work well? Does it not? What could be improved? Did they like it? Would they do it again? That type of customer satisfaction information helps us fine tune our system and make improvements. And so once we've learned what the customer demand is for this type of a service in general, and then we've learned how satisfied or happy people are with this type of service in comparison to human delivery, then we can start to understand, okay, here's the types of scenarios where autonomous delivery in a Tesla is going to be very popular. Here's where it's not going to work so well. Here's the parts of town where self-driving to someone's house works incredibly well. Here's parts of town where there's not a lot of parking and there's condo towers, and it's hard for autonomy to work very well in no parking situations, essentially. So we're learning all these things, and that's allowing us to go back to the drawing board and improve the system. So today, that is live, and it has been live for over a week now. And if you were to be in Austin and you were to order from Tso Chinese directly on their website, you would have a chance to be paired with our autonomous delivery experience. But to remind people, you can't choose that. It's just a random pairing, and it's a similar type of experience that Waymo riders have in Atlanta or Austin,
Mm-hmm.
where you can't, in the Uber app in Atlanta, you can't say, I want a Waymo.
Mm-hmm.
You can only be randomly paired with a Waymo, unfortunately. And so we have kind of a similar system going on with Tso and Nash in Austin, but it's better than nothing. And I think the surprise and delight of being paired with this
Yeah.
opportunity and not having to do it if you don't want to, just like in Atlanta with Uber and Austin with Uber, you don't have to say yes to the Waymo. If Uber says, here's a Waymo, you can say no. You can say no to us as well. But it's cool to give people the choice, because I think it is a pretty distinct experience.
I think it's going to make more people want their Tso Chinese takeout and delivery to see if they have the opportunity to get selected. It's like you're an elite selection process right now. See if you get this opportunity, and I think that's really fun. So, so we're excited that this is finally launched, and people should, if you're in Austin, definitely tsochinese.com. It's out of the Cherrywood location right now. And what's on the horizon for Tso and Nash and Autolane?
A lot, it seems like. So the initial, I'm gonna have Claude count how many times I said
We said
so
so in this.
in this
It's
episode.
crazy once you think of it.
It's getting out of control. What's next is a deeper integration with Nash and a deeper partnership. So Nash has an entire network of other types of restaurants and retailers and grocers who utilize the Nash platform to route delivery orders to different service providers. And now that we are a verified and integrated service partner for them, that means that any other customer on the Nash platform can easily integrate with us with very minimal work. And that wasn't the case the first time we had to do it with Tso, because we had no Nash integration. So we had to do both of those at once, which took 4 to 6 weeks, let's say. But the next Nash retailers or restaurants or grocers that we are to work with them will be a lot faster. And that's the focus of our partnership with Nash going forward, is to roll this out to more businesses on the Nash platform. And with So, it is to increase the amount of coverage that we're able to offer this service to in Austin. We do have, right now, we're only operating a couple cars. We have 13 cars. So we will increase the coverage and the availability of this autonomous delivery service for So customers as the months go on. We're going to slowly ramp up to that. We're not going to do it all at once, but we love working with So. It's been an absolute pleasure. They have a very streamlined system. The staff and the management are incredible, very hands-on, amazing people to work with. Our team has had nothing but incredibly positive things to say about helping them with delivery. And it seems to me that the So customers are really happy with it and would like to do it more. The So company is also happy with the early results and would like us to expand our coverage. So I think that we will do that
And I
as
know our
the months go
drivers
on. So
are,
probably a little bit of both. More work with Nash on other businesses on their platform, and then deeper and wider coverage with So in Austin.
and just to speak on the quality and the deliciousness of the food, I have yet to be able to try it. I'm also grounded for my own baby coming, but everyone who is down there, boots on the ground from Autolane, Team Autolane, has tried a few meals now with So, and nothing but amazing things to say about the quality and deliciousness. So I can't
World
wait to.
famous crab rangoons, I've
Oh
heard.
yeah. And the little crab rangoon that was on one of their cars that
Yeah.
he looks fun. I mean, sad that we have to eat him, but delicious, apparently.
This
Incredible.
crab rangoons on demand with an affordable delivery price would have been a problem for my college roommates back in the day. They loved crab rangoons. So I can understand why this is going to be a pretty popular service in Austin,
Yeah. And
especially
we're
as
right.
we can expand the service and start to reduce the delivery cost, which we will do. That is going to increase people's desire, of course, to order from So because it will be cheaper. So I think it's exciting. Yeah, crab
There's
rangoons
gonna
on
be
demand.
there's gonna be a crab rangoon shortage because everyone's gonna be eating them there. We have a little bit more time if we want to get into some like topical stuff that we saw this week pop up. I know you had brought it up, the tampering, and I want you to that's in Atlanta, right? There was like a whole tampering federal bill or something that was passed. What was that?
Yeah, so it was a Senate bill in the state of Georgia, and I don't think it ultimately ended up being passed, but it hit the Senate floor in Georgia, and this was over the last 60 days or so, and it it essentially is speaking to the consumer concern, the rampant consumer concern in the state of Georgia around delivery drivers tampering with food in particular. I think there's probably concerns, regardless of whether it's food or grocery or even retail, of the delivery driver tampering with your stuff. Um, but yeah, that kind of hit ahead in the state of Georgia over the last few months and ended up on the Senate floor somehow in the state of Georgia. And so I think that's a really that's a really interesting data point that clearly indicates consumers are concerned about the practice involved in this, the hygiene and probably the food safety, just a bunch of things that people are they want clarity on. They want some rules being set about how this can and can't work, and there needs to be consequences, in their opinion, if these types of rules are broken, and setting standards for that, I think makes a lot of sense. We have all of these types of standards at restaurants. You have a food, you have health inspection, you have permits, You have food safety laws that need to be passed by people who are making the food, but you don't have that after the food has been made. And now another person who's not certified in anything is just going to grab that food and take it to you. And more often than not, I'm sure it's totally fine. I've
Yeah.
I don't really worry too much about that, but I know a lot of people do, and I think that Senate bill is an indication of a lot of people clearly are worried about that. And if a lot of people are really worried about that, there also probably have been many, many cases in which this situation has played out pretty negatively. So makes sense to me that the state of Georgia is stepping in and saying, listen, if we're gonna protect consumers the way we do with restaurant certification and food safety certification of the preparation of the food and the growing of the food and there needs to be that on the last mile delivery transportation. And that way you can, as a consumer in the state of Georgia, be at least you can feel more secure that that final leg of the food coming to you is also as safe as it can be. So that was interesting news. And I don't know if there's other states in the US that are going through that at the political level, but
You kept saying there's definitely people, and I'm definitely the people. I'm a pre-COVID germaphobe. So like was a hand sanitizer. I mean, I have hand sanitizer on my desk right now. I'm the only one that's in this office. And it's just I think about this, and I just saw one of my best friends. She's putting together a drive-through restaurant, and I quizzed her on all her health and safety food expertise that she needed, and the glove wearing, and then hair nets, and even wearing hats, and the different kind of aprons that you can wear, and the length of the apron. Like everything about that for a restaurant is taken care of and packaged. And to your point, it's like once the food goes out the door, why it hasn't gotten to the hand that feeds it yet, you know? So why are we missing those steps? And to me, that was like a beautiful awakening with talking about our direct delivery. And if I was down in Austin, I'd be tickled pink, because it would be one less, thing to think about. And even our next step when we go to our lockering system, and we start going through and doing multiple deliveries in one ride, and there's a locker that's protecting my food and nobody's touching it and nobody's tampering with it, that makes me very excited as a germaphobe to think through that. And I think right now topically is the cyclospara. And it's like we cannot uh I cannot feel safe eating the food in a grocery store this week. And so to think about, I'm putting my trust and faith into these restaurants who have gone through these rigorous tests. So, like, the last thing I want to think about is the random person who might look at these delicious crab rangoons and want to bite too, you know?
yeah, and I think you're completely correct on that. And I also think there's another level here, which is think about your friend's drive-through restaurant,
Hmm.
and if you put yourself in that person's shoes, then you also would love to be sure that your customers who order from you are going to get a fantastic, safe experience from the time it leaves your friend's drive-through to the time that it hits their hands. And currently, your business owner friend isn't able to guarantee that. Your business, they can't do anything about it, and so it affects their business too. It reflects poorly on them if that delivery process doesn't go the way that their customers would expect. It reflects poorly on the business as well, and there's nothing that business can do, which is
Yeah.
probably the frustrating part about it for a company like a So or whoever, that if you don't like the quality of the process of the delivery, outside of you hiring your own delivery drivers, getting your own cars, there's nothing you can do about it. You could say, hey, you could ask, I guess, DoorDash and Uber Eats to please implement hygiene and safety measures and follow these things that we would love for this process to be like, but they're not going to listen to you as a small restaurant. They might listen to a Chipotle maybe, or a massive coalition of companies, but even so, it does depend on what DoorDash and Uber Eats want to implement. And their problem is even tougher, arguably, because their network of drivers, most people understand this, but some people don't, I think. Their drivers are 1099 contractors, and there are very clear stipulations and guidelines for what you can and can't ask a 1099 contractor to do. They're not your employees, and thus you can't make them wear certain clothes. You can't make them wear hairnets. If you wanted to have a delivery driver in a hairnet, you couldn't legally force them to do that. You
Gloves.
can't make them wash their hands. You can't make them do anything. They are hired on a per delivery basis to grab that order however they so choose. God, it's like 200 times in this episode. And bring that order to this address however they choose within a certain amount of time. That's it. There's no, you must use this type of car. You must treat the customer this specific way. You must keep your car temperature inside under 65 degrees. You must never touch the food. They can't enforce those rules because these are not W-2 employees. These are 1099 contractors doing the work. And I think that is where it breaks down ultimately. If those platforms wanted to enforce some type of protocol like you're describing, they'd have to make those people W-2 employees. And that's not possible given the business model that Uber and DoorDash currently employ. Is it possible business-wise? Absolutely, they could do that. They've resisted that for 15 years, and they will probably always resist that because it's not in their financial favor. And if those two platforms recovered can't control that process, then so be it. It is what it is. There's the restaurant who needs those delivery drivers to do the delivery to you is just going to have to put up with whatever comes out of that outcome. And that's unfortunate. And we at Autolane don't really believe that it has to be that way. There's got to be other solutions and technology and products and ideas that can bridge that gap somehow. And it's exciting for me and for us to kind of see what the consumer feedback is when you start to take this part of the delivery seriously. You pretty much find out that there are a lot of people like yourself, Kyle. You're not weird in any way. Like most people, I think I'm weird for not caring enough about it, most likely. I think the Georgia situation clearly shows that most people are very concerned about this and would like it to be rectified. And that's great. I think, how could that not be good? That's more food safety is better for people and for society. More food safety is better for the businesses that don't have to be as worried about what happens when the food leaves their restaurant front door. It's all positive. So it's nice for us and for me to focus on that aspect for all the people like yourself who are out there who would maybe even order more delivery if it had higher quality food safety processes and if it was more trustworthy. In your opinion, you might want to do it more.
Yeah.
Does it affect your desire or demand to do it, or you just put up with it and do it anyway, but it wouldn't change your demand?
The only time, so Ben, I live in the sticks, and so we don't have delivery here.
Oh, that's right.
General. Yeah, but when I
you can't get any delivery, or just like from a couple small businesses, maybe.
No,
directly.
There was one restaurant that you could DoorDash, and it just closed.
So how far do you have to go to get I don't know, a pizza that you might like?
Yeah. So if I want to drive personally to go get my pizza, it's 25 minutes one way to get it. But yeah, Ben, I know. But
Yo,
if I live in an area like Saratoga that's close to me, or let's take New York City, when we did the show in New York City, NRF in January, I got my I got my Uber Eats delivered to me the night that I was there, and it showed up with a guy on a bike, and it was probably like 35 minutes from the location, and it was fine. I was fine with it. I wasn't like tickled pink. Like, I ordered specific things that I knew would have to come in like certain kinds of containers, because that's the way my brain works. Like, it has to be in like a certain kind of closed container. I wouldn't order soup. I wouldn't
fries.
do I wouldn't do a soup, because like, how do I know what level that soup's at or whatever, But I think if I was in an Austin, and this was an opportunity for me, I'd be trying to get that selection as much as possible, because it just makes me feel more comfortable. And then the other thing that we haven't touched on, that we talked a little bit about yesterday, is just like, I do get a lot of Amazon. Amazon will deliver here. And one of the things we talked about at first was just like, the randomness of people showing up, and not like a person just randomly showing up in an unmarked vehicle ready to deliver me something. And sometimes they wear those little vests, and sometimes they don't, and they'll like get out of the car. And thankfully I have two really loud dogs. They'll alert me. I've got my son, and I'm kind of like, I'm a germaphobe and a hypochondriac and a scared pants. So I'm just like looking out the window. And that was one thing that you and I talked about, like right at the beginning. It's like, we need, even if it's a smallest bit of branding on the autonomous vehicles, we need to have it so that people feel comfortable knowing that this vehicle is showing up. It says it's powered by Autolane. It's got Tso branding on it, because I want people to feel comfort in every stage. This is a new technology. This is a new thing for people. It's just like when drive-throughs became available, when elevator operators were taken out of the elevator. Like, any step we can take to mitigate the fear of it and instill trust, that's what we're doing. And so I was proud that we did that, because I have that worry when I see a random vehicle just pull into my kind of long driveway to my house.
Yeah, and I think these are some of the things that I'm awakening to as well. That, like, what's so interesting about building a brand new idea or technology or business, something that literally does not exist today. The fun part of it is learning about how it interacts with the real world, and finding out that it interacts with the real world in ways that you could have never imagined, particularly because what sounds obvious as I'm going to say this isn't obvious when you're doing it, because it's very, very difficult to imagine and build something that doesn't exist. And you have to start by building it and imagining it from your own head, which is how I did this. It was all just in my head. And then slowly but surely there was Andy. And then slowly but surely there was Chad. And now there's three of us thinking about it. And now it's in three people's heads. But it's still not until it meets the real world and is interacting with random people that you don't know, you won't understand the use cases for the technology or the business idea or the product that you've invented until someone else who's very different than you uses the thing or responds to the thing. And one very obvious insight from just the first week and just thinking more about this and talking to more people about autonomous delivery is that it's a similar insight that came out of the early days of Waymo usage, which is that women feel very comfortable and satisfied and happy and want Waymo. And you asked, and why is it? Why do women love Waymo so much? Is it
Safety.
because women love high technology? Is it because women love Jaguar I-Paces with 37 sensors on top of them? Is it because women like the look of that technology? Is it because women like the brand of Waymo? No, it's actually people at the beginning. The data was very clear that women prefer this much more than men, and it wasn't. It didn't take long for them to ask enough people of those women who were riding it, "Why do you like this so much?" And then their answer was, "Well, I feel safer in this." And they're like, "Wow, you really understand self-driving technology? It is safer
Mm-hmm.
than a human-driven car." That's yes, that's exactly why we built this, to make it safer for you. And they're like, "No, talking about a different kind of safety." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what do you mean? We're engineers and software, and we built this self-driving vehicle because it's safer on the road than a human-driven car." Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about a different kind of safety, safety from the driver. And I think that was a pretty big eye opener for the Waymo team in the early days, to understand that the benefit to women at particular uh, times of day, like nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
times when it generally is just not great to be out no matter who you are. And then also in parts of the city or cities that are less safe than other parts. And from a woman's perspective, self-driving technology, as it's applied to Waymo, equals safety from the driver. Also safety on the road, but safety in addition to that from any particular weird scenario that might occur with interaction with the driver. And I think that that is that's just fascinating. First off, because I doubt that Waymo had thought through all that while they were inventing the technology. They learned that as it hit the market. And what we are now learning also is that, and I'm just from what you've just said, I'm a man, I'm 40 years old, I'm a husband and a father of three, and my worldview and my mindset and my perspective on life and what concerns me and what doesn't concern me is largely what has been built into this technology and in my head about the strategy and the marketing. But as it's now hitting the real world and all types of people are using this autonomous delivery system that we've built, you see, you start to learn things that you wouldn't have, I wouldn't have personally expected because it's not my worldview. But you're mentioning something that we're now seeing happening with our system, which is that women uh, would like it if there was more safety involved in receiving the delivery. And safety can mean a lot of things. It can mean the food tampering. It could also just mean I just don't want an unmarked car with a man showing up at my house at 9 p.m. at night when I'm alone with my two
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's fascinating, and that's a benefit for you. Clearly, is what you're saying,
100%.
and that's has nothing to do with the cost of autonomous delivery or the price of autonomous delivery. It has nothing to do with any of that. No tips, like all those very basic conversations that most people gravitate towards when they think about this idea. Oh, this means I should get it for cheaper. Yes, eventually, yeah, for sure. But interestingly enough, it appears that the benefits are much more than that, a la Waymo, and maybe the additional benefits that aren't financial are actually more valuable to people than even the savings that they might get. In your case, it sounds like that could be true. So I'm learning day by day as all types of different people, young, old, urban, rural, suburban, male, female, what have you, are all using this in a different way and then understanding why they want to use this. It's not always for the reasons that we expected. It's for new emergent reasons, and it's for very interesting reasons that actually show that there is much more utility in autonomous delivery than even we had expected. So it's interesting. It's interesting to hear that, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about, previous Kyle life when you and I originally met many, many, many years ago when I was traveling a lot for her. for my job. And, if this opportunity, Waymos didn't exist then, and had a Waymo existed, I would have felt as a 27-year-old bebopping around the country by myself and getting out of airports that was very prevalent, and always like over the speaker about, be alert, human trafficking, and just, lots of that kind of scary discussion that I didn't want to think of as reality. And anytime I got into a vehicle, Waymo or Lyft or Uber, I felt the same way. It was always just like, pray to God I get to the place I'm supposed to go. And this is a good person. And, I'm safe. And it's true. And now, just like you said, being a mom, and being home alone a lot because my husband works really hard and, provides for us. And so I take care of the house and, do our stuff here. I don't love when people show up, and it would take away that initial feeling of worry and scarcity. And so I'm excited for all aspects of Autolane to come to fruition, and the partnerships that we'll have in the future. Beyond just the amazing Chinese food currently in Austin, and where we get to go, and how we are more impactful than I think we originally thought we were going to be too.
For sure. That's the beauty of this at this point, is starting to understand what matters to people, and then we can go back to the lab and make more things that help people achieve those benefits from our system. And if it's new behaviors or desires or benefits that we didn't expect, that's an awesome learning. And then that we should take that for sure seriously, and focus on how do we make that as best as possible for Kyle. Like, Kyle's concerns are this and this. We learned that. Let's make some adjustments and continue to improve the system so that Kyle can get delivery from her favorite business affordably and safely and all these other things. And that's the very fun part of entrepreneurship, is when you get to that point and you're starting to be able to dial it in to make people happier, and to solve problems that people have, whether you understood them in the beginning or not. That never-ending journey of listening to people, hearing them out, thinking about how you could help them in that way, and then going to do that work and then delivering that to them, making them happy, is like, that's the virtuous cycle of business and entrepreneurship and capitalism that it should be about. Ultimately, that's when capitalism works well, that's what it does, because it's incentivized to do that. Because if you can do that and you solve problems, then you generate value, and that means money at some point, and the thing can keep growing because it's solving problems that people have. And if it doesn't do that, arguably it's not going to be successful. But most importantly, if it does do that, it kind of compounds, because and more resources come into the system. And if we continue focusing on that, helping people and solving problems for people, then the business will grow. So it's exciting. And I thought this was a good episode to dive into the details of all this, because I think we've glossed over it largely for the last couple of weeks. But this is the time, we have enough early indication, and it's live, that was a great time to talk about it all.
Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up, and I just want to remind everybody, obviously we're goautolane.com. If you're interested in what we're doing, definitely check that out and sign up for our Autonomous Commerce Brief newsletter. And then also, if you're in Austin, please see if you're selected as one of our potential autonomous delivery customers at tsochinese.com. And yeah, thanks so much, Ben. Glad we got to do our first duo episode.
Yeah, this was great. I would add one more thing too. If you do happen to be Austin and you do happen to be listening to this episode and you really want to try this, just DM us. We can make that happen. We've done it for a few people already, and we can make sure that you get paired with this opportunity if you're in Austin and if you really want to try it out. So go for it.
Respect that. I never know if I have the autonomy. Buzzword to give away free food, but I would love to do that. Yes, please DM us. It'll be me that you're talking to, and we'll make it happen. All right, that's it.
Episode
15.
Thanks, Kyle.